Anne of Green Gables. Chapter 4. A Year of Changes. One night, Marilla told Anne that she had talked to Miss Stacy. And Miss Stacy said, "You are doing well in school," said Marilla. "She wants you to study for the exam for King's College in Charlottetown. If you pass the exam and study at Queen's, you can become a teacher." "Marilla, I'd love to be a teacher," said Anne happily. So, after afternoon, Anne and some of the students stayed late at school. Miss Stacy helped them prepare for the exam. Diana didn't want to go to college, so she went home early. Gilbert stayed and studied with Anne, but he didn't even look at her. Anne was surprised to add how much it upset her. She knew she should forgive him, and if he asked again, she would say yes. One afternoon, Mrs. Lynde visited Marilla. "Your Anne is a big girl now," said Mrs. Lynde. "She's taller than you." "Yes, she is," said Marilla, "and she has grown into a nice young woman. Matthew and I are so proud of her." "And she is very beautiful," said Mrs. Lynde. "Those beautiful green eyes and that red brown hair. She's a really pretty girl and makes all the other girls look so plain. I can't imagine my life without her," sighed Marilla. Later, Matthew saw his sister crying in the kitchen. "What's the matter?" he asked. "I was thinking about Anne," said Marilla. "I'll miss her when she goes away to college. But she can't come home on the weekends," said Matthew. Matthew hadn't noticed how much Anne had grown. To him, Anne would always be the small girl he had brought home from the train station. "I'll miss her too," said Matthew. Time passed quickly. Anne studied hard. In June, she took the important examination and waited anxiously for the results. 3 weeks later, Diana ran into the kitchen at Green Gables carrying a newspaper. "Look, Anne!" she cried. "It's in the newspaper! You are first with Gilbert out of all the students." Anne took the newspaper and saw her name at the top of the list. For the first time in her life, she could not speak even one word. "I knew you would do," said Matthew with a warm smile. "You've done well, Anne," said Marilla. For the next 3 weeks, Anne and Marilla were very busy. Anne needed new dresses to wear to college. The evening before she left, Anne put on one of her new dresses to show Matthew and Marilla. Marilla watched the happy young face. She remembered the thin little child with her sad eyes and began to cry quietly. "Marilla, why are you crying?" asked Anne. "Oh, I don't know why I'm crying," said Marilla. "I was just thinking of you when you were a little girl. Now you are going away. I'll be lonely without you." Anne put her arms around Marilla's shoulder. "Don't be sad," said Anne. "I may be bigger and older now, but I'll always be your little Anne. You and Matthew are my family, and Green Gables is my home. That will never change." For the next year, Anne was busy with her school life at Queen's College. Gilbert was also at Queen's, and sometimes Anne saw him. But she didn't want to speak to him first. Gilbert never looked at her. At the end of the college year, there were examinations. Anne studied hard for them. She wanted to go to Redmond College. I'd love to get the highest score, she thought. Or, if I win the Avery Prize, I can get a 4-year scholarship to Redmond College. The Avery Prize is for the student who was best at English essay writing. Anne waited for news of the examination. Finally, the day arrived. "It's Gilbert! He has the highest score!" shouted a boy. He gets the gold medal." Anne was disappointed. But then she heard someone shout, "Anne Shirley has won the Avery Prize!" All the girls came up to Anne. "We are really proud of you, Anne," they said. Chapter 5. Back at Green Gables. Anne came back to Green Gables with the good news, but she felt something was wrong. Matthew looked much older than before. "What's wrong with Matthew?" Anne asked Marilla. "He's hurt, that's the problem," answered Marilla. "And you don't look well either," said Anne. "I've always had bad headaches," said Marilla. "I must see the doctor soon. And there is another thing. Did you hear the news about the church bank?" "Yes, I heard it's in trouble," replied Anne. "That's right," said Marilla. "Well, all of our money is in the bank. I think Matthew has been worried about it." The next morning, Matthew received a letter. Marilla saw his face turn pale as he read it. "Are you all right, Matthew?" she cried. Suddenly, he fell to the ground. Anne and Marilla called the doctor, but it was too late. Matthew was dead. "It was a heart attack," said the doctor. "Did he have any bad news lately?" "Yes, he got a letter this morning," cried Anne. "Oh, Marilla, the letter says the church bank closed down. All the customers lost their money." Everyone in Avery felt sorry about Matthew's death and couldn't stop crying. "It's no use crying," said Marilla quietly. "He can't come back to us. Now we will have to learn to live without him, Anne." A few days later, Mrs. Lynde came to Green Gables. I heard that Gilbert is going to be a teacher at Avonlea, she said. "That's good for him," said Marilla. "But Anne will go to Redmond College soon. I will miss her." The next day, Marilla visited the doctor. What did the doctor say?" asked Anne. "He said my eyes are bad," said Marilla. "I must wear glasses and then I won't have headaches. If I'm not careful, I'll be blind in 6 months." Anne was shocked. She couldn't say anything. "I think I should sell Green Gables," sobbed Marilla. "You are going to college. I can't run this place alone." That night, Anne thought for a long time about what to do. Next morning, Anne told Marilla what she had decided. "We must keep Green Gables because it's our home," said Anne. "I'm not going to Redmond." "No!" cried Marilla. "You've always wanted to go to Redmond." "But now I want to stay with you here at Green Gables," said Anne. "It's more important than anything else. I will teach in one of the village schools near here." Marilla tried not to cry, but she couldn't stop her tears. A few days later, Mrs. Lynde came to visit. Did you hear about Gilbert? She asked. He decided not to teach at Avelia. Why? Asked Anne. He heard that you wanted to stay with Marilla, said Mrs. Lynde. So he gave up his job. He will teach at another school. Oh, it's so kind of him to give up his job, said Anne. Later that day, Anne saw Gilbert walking down the hill. Anne stopped and said softly, "Hello, Gilbert." He stopped and looked at her. He stopped and looked at her in surprise. "I want to thank you, Gilbert," said Anne. "You gave up your teaching job for me. That was really sweet. Thank you very much." "I'm happy to help you, Anne," said Gilbert. "Are we going to be friends now? Can you forgive me for calling you Carrot?" "I forgave you a long time ago," said Anne, smiling. I'm sure we are going to be very good friends," said Gilbert. May I walk you home?" Marilla looked at Anne curiously as she entered the kitchen. "Was that Gilbert who walked you home?" she asked. "You look happy, Anne." "Yes, Marilla," said Anne happily. "Gilbert and I have been good enemies, but we decided to be good friends. I think life is going to be good for all of us. You and I have each other, and we will keep our Green Gables." That night, Anne sat at her window for a long time. She thought about how much her life had changed since she came to Green Gables. Once, she was alone and unloved. Now she had a home and knew how it felt to love and be loved. Anne breathed a deep sigh of happiness. Her life was not quite as she had imagined it when she came home from King's, but the future was still bright and filled with hope. Thank you.